Good morning and welcome back to Science Fiction Retirement Library. Simon here, and I'm back on my tours again. So it's a very grey Sunday morning in the UK. It's been raining all night. It's proper November weather now, but I'm out on a bookish jaunt, which you know I love to do. So I've actually got 3 stops today. So the first stop is just I'm dropping off 2 boxes to my storage unit. So I've gone through some of my books, the ones that aren't necessarily on my TBR or really collectible, but I want eventually in my library. I've got 2 boxes to drop off. My next stop is something a little bit crazy. I bought another collection. I think it's a collection. It was a collection only auction, and it says 500 plus science fiction books. But what I'm going to do with this, I'm not going to do the normal thing I do, which is like the mystery box unopening. I think there's 6 boxes and 500 plus books, right? So the biggest I've ever done. Very excited. I'm going to pick them up from a guy called Ben on the south coast of the UK. It's at least an hour drive, I think, for me. But the goal is, I'll show you some videos once I pick up the boxes, maybe in the boot. But the goal for this is I'm going to do like a reseller experiment. Now, what I mean by that is I've always sold my duplicates or given away or whatever my duplicates. And I've done that through comic collecting. I used to do it with vintage toys when I was much younger. And I wanted to do it as part of to show you if it is possible, for example, to fund your own hobby, right? Because that's one of my things is, imagine you can do it on the side and you can fund your own hobby, i.e. like every book that I purchase is actually a smaller, the profit I've made from selling something. There's something very attractive about that. Obviously there's a lot of work, 500 books is, yeah, well, we'll see, right? So I'm going to do I've already done like a kind of a framework of the analytics to say cost price over time, and then I've basically got like 3 or 4 flags, right? The first flag, which is the dangerous flag, is am I keeping it in my collection? And I'm almost certain I don't know, 40% plus is going to go in my collection, which obviously eats into any profit I might make, or it's probably going to be a loss, let's be honest. But that's an important one for me, because that's the joy I have from the hobby, is building my retirement library. I'm then going to have is it like sellable? So what's the value if I put it on a Vinted, an eBay, an Abe Books, etc. So I'm going to do that with a chunk. I'm almost certain there's going to be a chunk of that. And then there's ones that I think aren't valuable, that I can't maybe bundle, and there'll be kind of a loss, right? The per unit loss for what I'm buying this for. So it's going to be like a series. I can't do it in one, obviously, because it's a huge amount of work, but maybe 5 or 6, because there's 5 or 6 boxes, where I'll probably go through the boxes straight away, but I'll show you the split of the boxes. I'll also highlight some gems, but then let you know what I plan to do with them. And the difference from what I've done before is I'll show you also in terms of the sales and maybe how that account is changing over time, the P&L. So that's a very different thing. And then the third one, just because I'm relatively close to this bookshop, I was actually meant to do the £35 challenge today, which is the credit I've still got at Baggins in Rochester, but I couldn't go and get this collection and then go all the way to Rochester. It would have been a long day, and I've got a wife and I need to work tonight. So I'm going to Kim's Bookshop in Arundel. So I'm just going to go and have a look around. I'll take a few photos, see if I can pick up anything. So a really nice bookish morning, basically, which is kind of what I live for. So yeah, 3-prong. Drop off at the storage unit. I won't show you that. It literally is just a storage unit, but it is a bigger one now. Then go and pick up the collection. I'll probably take some photos and speak to this guy, see if it's the same as Richard, my first collection, if he's kind of selling, but he's always been a collector. That'd be really interesting. And then Arundel. So yeah, I'll speak to you soon when things kick off. Cheers. So I'm a bit out of breath because I've just been running with a box, but I've just met a lovely guy called Ben, and I've picked up 1, 2, 3, and 3 in the boot boxes of vintage science fiction. And a little bit like Richard, it was Ben's collection from the 90s, and he said he was addicted. you know, to the hunt, read almost all of them, and used to love kind of going to secondhand bookshops, etc., which there's less of them now, right? So, but yeah, really lovely guy. I told him about the channel, obviously no expectations, but my experience with Richard meant that I wanted to do more of this. So buy someone's collection, see what's in it. And I am going to do this as an experiment, as I said, in terms of reselling. But also, I'm pretty sure a lot of them will go into my collection. So I kind of just explained to him that I'm trying to build a collection of vintage science fiction to just give out work and read for the rest of my life. So yeah, lovely guy, picked up the boxes. If I just open this one, it's already got some gems. If you look at that Christopher Priest Real-Time World, I think we've already discussed that one as, you know, quite a difficult book to get hold of. So yeah, good start. And yeah, now I'm off to Kim's bookshop in Arundel, which I've never been to before. So what a great bookish day. I don't know what it is with places that have bookshops also having castles. But this is Arundel, and I haven't been here for a long time, I think. But I'll take some photos of the castles. I think that's just a gatehouse, but great place. I'm just going to Kim's bookshop. I'll be back soon. So I'm back from my travels, and as you can see from this bit of sun, it cleared up, which was really good. Because I had an amazing morning, basically picking up a personal collection from Ben on the south coast, and then driving not too much further, you know, maybe 25 minutes to Arundel. And my first real trip to Arundel, where I went to Kim's bookshop, and unbelievable, like lovely, lovely place. Not just Arundel, but the bookshop itself was lovely. Sci-fi and fantasy in the attic, and I'll show you some pictures. And I got a bit of a haul, but let's go in 2 steps. So the first step was this 500 book, or over 500 book, I think it's around 520, 500 book personal collection from Ben. Now, I had such a good time with Richard's collection, which was the first real personal collection I bought on this channel. I wanted to do it again, and this one wasn't too far from me, maybe an hour's plus drive. And I hoped that it would be similar in terms of, you know, I didn't hear anything before I met the guy, but basically it was his collection from the 90s. He used to love sci-fi. They've been boxed up for a long time, so he thought good time to get rid of them. So what I'm going to do with this one is slightly different, which I explained earlier. And I've got 3 boxes in here and 3 boxes in another room. I'm not going to do the unboxing with you and go through each book. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go through each box personally and then split the box into what I'm going to do with the books. And what I'm going to try to do is reveal to you how successful a reseller could be in this day and age buying collections like this. Now, we all know that a high percentage is going to go into my collection, but what's left? And to be honest, I've got one of the boxes here, and I just wanted to show you the quality of some of the books. So I think I showed you this one in the car. So it's a bit bent, etc., but that's a hard book to get hold of. I'm going to look at the average price per book as I go along, and that will inform some of the kind of the P&L, but I think it's around 50 something p again, 55p. So we know that will sell for longer. That will sell for more than that. I then literally flicked through again, and I saw this, and I've only just done a flick through while I was in the car. So again, we know that is a very collectible book in pretty good condition, like heavily read, but it's a collectible book. And I know that from one of my first few months on this channel, in terms of this is a difficult book to get hold of and a very well respected book. So that's like the first 2 that I really kind of picked up from box 1 is, well, 1, to check if they're upgrades, because I've got both of these books. If they're not, I'm going to see if I sell them, or there might be a giveaway or whatever, and see what I can do in terms of showing you the process and also the success of it overall. So if I've got 520 books, what do I do with them individually or in groups? And then at the end of it, which will take probably months, because we know that individual books or small lots take a while to sell, depending on the price. And this is why people want to sell in bulk like this, right? So I'll go through and do the stats. I'm not going to do it here. This was just an introduction, a few other examples of the books in there. Between Planets, Heinlein. Then there's an Ursula K. Le Guin, slight crease here, but you know, I could use my book press, for example. So it's all vintage science fiction and all kind of, let's say, classic science fiction, you know, things people want to read. So yeah, that's going to be upcoming. So that's just the introduction to Ben's collection. Thank you to Ben for helping me deliver the boxes to my car. Luckily the rain held up. It was a very smooth transaction, so a lovely start to the day and something quite exciting for me as another project to get into. So just wanted to give you an introduction on that, a few pictures. Yeah. And then the second point was going to Kim's Bookshop. Now I actually got a stack of books. Let me show you the stack of books. I could have bought a lot more, which is what I always say when it's a good shop, right? And this was a good shop. So science fiction and fantasy in the attic, few bookshelves, but also books on the floor, books stacked up. And it was in a way that was easily accessible, and there was no one there. There was lots of people in the shop, but no one when I was up in the attic. And I was literally on my knees, like taking books out. It was glorious. For me, it was just such fun. The cherry on the cake, before I show you the books, is I was having a chat with the lady who worked there. She was lovely, very friendly, very open. And I said about Kim's Bookshop, first time here. I even mentioned my channel, which I don't like to do, but I did mention my channel. And I said, oh, I've recently been to Camilla's at Eastbourne and also love that shop. But, you know, and I kind of pulled a face because of, you remember the stacks of books. And she went, I'll stop you there. Camilla's my sister. And it comes to pass that Kim's Bookshop, Kim is the mother of Camilla, Eastbourne, and I think her name was Lynn in Kim's Bookshop. So it's this triangle of booksellers and book lovers, and it made me feel so happy. I went to get an Earl Grey and an almond croissant, and I just thought, this is somewhere I want to frequent. It's somewhere I want to spread the word. And if anyone has not been to Arundel, it is such a gorgeous little high street. It basically goes from a gatehouse of a castle down the hill, and the history is awesome. Let's say the ye olde England feel to it, you know, the tea rooms and the antique shops, and an amazing bookshop, Kim's Bookshop. There's another bookshop on the top of the hill that I didn't go to, but Kim's Bookshop, definitely one of my favorites now. So Baggins, Kim's, and Camilla's. And they were saying that they've just got a few collections in, and they were saying about the quality of the sci-fi as well, like the quality of the book. So I'm going to go back before Christmas, you know, I'm just that way inclined. It is a bit of a drive for me, but my sister-in-law's pretty close. So I popped in there as well to have a catch up. So I've had a lovely, lovely morning, and those are the two things. So on to the book haul. I'll show you a few pictures of Kim's for sure. And I'll send a link to the website, and I did mention it to Lynn, as I said. But let's have a look at the book haul. So I got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 paperbacks and 1 hardback. And I have to say, I feel like there was a Silverberg collection that just came in, and I could have bought a lot of Silverberg. I like Silverberg, and there was even a nice Nightwings that I nearly bought. But anyone that really loves Silverberg and you're relatively close to Arundel, go there, because there was at least one shelf of Silverberg 70s and above. So and this is one that I got, which is one I don't have, which is the NEL Thorns by Silverberg, and as you can see, that's really good condition. That's ideal condition for my retirement library. A bit of foxing, do they call it, browning of the pages, but 1977 first NEL. Awesome start. Now, I've heard good and bad things about this book. I think Bookpilled read it a while back, but that's awesome for my collection. And by the way, the really good condition paperbacks are like 350, 4 quid, and then it kind of slightly lower for the less good condition. And I get a hardback, and they're kind of varied, but good pricing. And honestly, I came out of the shop thinking, I want to spend money here because of just how lovely the people were, the link to Eastbourne, and it's kind of, you show with your footfall, right? You show with your spending. Is if I can buy Christmas presents there, I'd like to, because it's supporting an awesome just an awesome place. If that wasn't there in Arundel, there would be a massive hole in Arundel, right? And I've only just been there, right? I've only just discovered it. So the second Silverberg that I picked up, so there's a lot more if you want to go there, is A Time of Changes. Now, I don't think I've got this in any edition, let alone this lovely panther. Awesome. And it's a slightly chunky panther. So this one, I think £4. And this one was 1973. Awesome, right? So two really good Silverbergs early on. And then this one isn't Silverberg himself, but it was edited and an introduction by Silverberg. And those that have been following my channel for a while know that I got a quite battered edition of this, thinking not much of it, and then realizing this is actually a quite difficult book to get hold of. I don't know how much it's kind of going for these days, but this isn't a bad condition book. Someone said to me, and I was interested in it because it had the C or whatever, right, and it's Silverberg as the editor, but someone said the change of the C in one of my early videos is really difficult to get hold of. And I'm almost certain this is a better version than the one I had. So yeah, £4 is an amazing deal on this book in my mind. So I just need to check, and if there's an upgrade, the other one again might be for a giveaway or might be for a sell on. Any of the ones I normally do, so I've got a stack over here of, I don't know, about 10, 12 books that and a bag down here for charity, is I will put them online. I won't include those in the 500 book reseller experiment. That's specific. I'm only going to do it for those books, but the rest of it obviously just continues because I love doing it. I love having books through my hands. So the next one was a Bob Shaw. There's quite a few Bob Shaws there as well, so the S's were well represented. And I think I've got a version of this, but I didn't have this version, which was a gorgeous ace. Bob Shaw, Tomorrow Lies in Ambush. So just look at the quality of these. You know, these are all kind of mid-70s, early to mid-70s, and they're all in really good condition. 1973 looks unread. It really does look unread. I think the yellow was deliberate, but that's great cover, really nice. What Time Do You Call This? A wildly ironic story about a bank robber who shuttles to an alternate universe and runs into himself. That sounds good. So 4 books of awesome quality that made me very, very happy. And then, believe it or not, I found a 5-star paperback that I don't have. So again, those that know me know that I really like the little thin 5 stars, and I've got kind of a small collection of 5 or 6, but they're very dear to my heart. And this is Brian M. Stableford, 5-star paperback, The Days of Glory. The war was to the death between man and his mirror image. So again, it's slightly thicker than the others, to be honest, than the Nets of Space and ones like that. And not the worst condition out of the ones I've got so far, but still really good. And I haven't seen this one that much. And again, I can't read I'm not very good with Roman numerals in terms of how old they are, but they're usually early 70s. So an addition to my 5-star paperback collection, which is good. So I've got, what, 5 left? And it was another Silverberg. And the reason I got this one is I really like these liveries. Again, it's purple, and it always reminds me of Bookjack, because I think he likes purple covers. And this is just a pretty cool cover. And it's older than they look. It reminds me of those Andre Norton ones that I got. A bit slightly faded there. But I got a lot of Andre Norton in that big haul, and they're similar design. And this Ace one is 1962. So it always shocks me how old these are, because it's quite modern. Like very hippie, but quite modern. That's a really good cover. Haven't read The Seed of Earth. And then a 4-square NEL. It's got someone's name in it, Tony Drew or something. And this was just such a clean cover. It's slightly faded on the spine, but it's such a clean new cover. Simak, All the Traps of Earth. You can't really see it on that, but it's a very shiny, clean cover. Slightly faded, good back cover. And that's 1962. And it's, again, it feels unread and maybe just stored, but that is what a great cover that is. And then this one was just, there were quite a few Cherryh. And I think I said to you, I enjoyed the Cherryh, but not as much as I hoped I would enjoy the Cherryh, the one that I read. But I've got a few in this livery now, and I do like this. It's more modern livery. There was a few of these, maybe 5 or 6, but this was the best condition one. So Brothers of Earth. So I've got a few here now. Is it called Hunter's Nest or Hornet's Nest? So £4 again. It looks unread, brand new. It is later, so this one's 1989. But that's a great copy. So the last paperback was a Tandem, and I do like these Tandems because they call it cardstock, don't they? It's the cover is quite well made, and again shiny and kind of thick, and I feel like that's why it lasts so good. That's why it's in such good condition. So this is 1968, and it does not feel 1968. Very white pages, and I've got a few Murray Leinster recently, and again I like these little Tandems. So that was £4 as well, I think. Yeah, £4. So again, really good condition, last paperback. And then the one hardback I got was just something I've never seen before. It's Perseus Spur, The Rampart Worlds Book 1, A Major New Galactic Adventure by Julian May. I've just never seen this. Like, I don't know, it just took my fancy. It took my fancy. It was only £3.50. And listen to this. I was living in a pleasant anonymity under the name of Helmut Icicle. What a name. Taking smart-ass sport divers out on holocam trips around the reefs of Kedge Lockerbie. So I also got the diving thing, which kind of I liked. Julian May's first story, the SF Classic June Roller, was published in the early 1950s. The author then wrote non-fiction and children's book for many years before bursting onto the fantasy scene with the phenomenally successful saga of the Pliocene Exile, which, yeah, I've literally just taken some of those to my storage unit. So yeah, the Many-Coloured Land, the Golden Talk, the Non-Born King, and the Adversary. But this one, I think, yeah. So sci-fi, Julian May. I probably won't read his famous ones, the Exile ones, but at least for quite a few years. So I thought that was a good way in, and I've never seen it. And I just love these little hardbacks. So yeah, so that's my haul from Kim's, and all I can say is I will be back relatively soon. I'm hoping before Christmas. I don't know when this will come out, but hoping before Christmas. And I just say the same as I say with Camilla's and Baggins, like, frequent it as much as you can. Anyone that's in the south of the UK, or anyone that goes, towards the east of London or Kent, or in this case, kind of Sussex, Arundel, Chichester, and obviously Eastbourne for Camilla's, just check it out, because it's these are great little businesses with awesome stock, and they know their stuff, and the pricing's really good, and it's just a lovely place to be. Nothing better than to go book shopping, picking up some amazing things like this, and then just going to have a cup of tea and tell you guys about it, basically. So yep, watch this space for more things on Ben's collection. That's definitely going to come. And please like, subscribe, share. I'm hoping to really reveal some things about my process in terms of reselling, which I don't do. I do it as an amateur, right? But it might be of interest to you. So thanks as always for your support, and I'll speak to you again soon. Cheers.